Okay, how's it going, you guys? This is a quick video just to kind of talk a bit about what's going on. As you may be watching this currently, then the news has probably been already announced about the passing of Kim Jung Gi. So I wanted to spend a minute just to talk about it a little bit, mainly because of some of the things that are coming into mind. I'm sure a lot of people have questions as to what's going on, how it happened, all that kind of stuff, which is kind of irregardless. I want to talk more about the aspects of embarking on the journey of becoming an artist. I myself, of course, I've been working in the industry and teaching in the field for over 15 years. And I wanted to talk a bit about my own history a little bit based on relationships with artists, of people that I know, friends, teachers as well. And of course, kind of go into a little bit about first Kim Jung Gi as well too, in the beginning, and then we'll kind of talk a bit about, why we do what we do. So please do understand this is all relatively fresh. Things are going on right now. I had just found out about the whole news yesterday. So right now this video is being made currently. Today's October I believe the 4th. So I wanted to make sure that what was conveyed was more based on my own opinion, my thoughts in terms of how things are going on. So first and foremost, of course, Kim Jung Gi did pass medical issues, and he was in Paris. I myself was right about to head out to New York for New York Comic-Con. I got up around 3:30 in the morning, had packed to fly out to LAX for about 4 in the morning, and I got a text and call from our manager from Superani telling me the news about his critical condition. So of course, I canceled the Uber. I was literally about to head out the door, and that was a day where I was expecting to go meet up with everybody from Superani. Kim Jung Gi as well, and Hyunjin Kim, the manager of Superani, many other artists, Dongho Kim as well too. And we were supposed to get together, and I hadn't seen them for over 2 years. The last time I'd seen both Kim Jung Gi and Hyunjin Kim were in 2019 when I had stopped by the Riot Game Studios, and Kim Jung Gi was doing a large mural. So that's the last time I actually spoken to him in person. Now, of course, we've been in contact over the period of the last couple of years through internet and that kind of stuff, remote working, and I had released my book, The Dynamic Bible, through Superani, and things were going accordingly. So as the world started to open up a little bit more, and Kim Jung Gi begins to venture out again outside his door, and this year he traveled to several events and locations, leading up into Paris. I believe he went to THU in Poland, or not Poland, Portugal, and then back to Paris, which unfortunately is where he had passed. So they were ready to go to New York, and the first time into the U.S. in over 2 years. So I was very much looking forward to seeing them. So hearing the tragic news of his passing, of course, is shocking, obviously. And Kim Jung Gi is someone to me who was obviously a friend. Someone I had met back in 2015 through Comic-Cons, conventions, and mutual friends. We just knew each other. And over the years, I've met up with them a couple of times here and there. And the last time we had, really gotten together with a whole group was at Comic-Con San Diego in 2019. So it was always a very good annual kind of meetup towards the group of Superani, which, just to kind of delve into that, Superani itself, of course, is just a collective of artists from all around the world, starting in Korea with Hyunjin Kim being the manager and basically curating a lot of the students that they had. And then from there, be able to bring into the fold other artists from Europe, here in America as well too, and being able to establish ourselves. It's just a collective of artists had mutual interests and mutual directions of publishing books, producing art, being independent artists really. So we were not conscripted or hired under this brand. We all just really like to work together. So we were also just friends. Guys like Carl, Nicholas, Eliza, all these people, amazing people too. So over the years, getting to meet them annually as well was always a reward, and felt very fortunate on my end to be able to be even involved in a tier of group of artists to that level. So to look up to Kim Jung Gi was a natural kind of thing that happened for all of us and many people, I'm sure, around the world. So to hear his passing, of course, is quite a shock and a bit of a wonder, in the sense that someone like him had to leave so early. I believe he was about 47, 48 years old. I'm 41 right now, so he's not that much older than I am. So when you have someone that prolific coming through, our pathways in our generation, and then to leave so suddenly is poetic in a way, because it's the repetitions and history of these kinds of people that come through and are able to leave such a mark on many, many people, and then all of a sudden burn out that energy so explosively. And he gave quite a bit. Every time he was going out doing these kind of shows and kind of events, I could always tell every time I was around him that he gave it his all. And I'm sure that was the situation of also this last trip of him really giving himself fully into it. And of course, condolences to his family, which unfortunately I've never got to meet yet, his kids and whatnot. And this video, of course, I'm not releasing just yet until announcements do come out. So again, if you are watching this, this is what you're hearing. So we're gonna spend maybe just a few more minutes again, just talking. Excuse me as I have a pipe. So for someone like him to come through and have that kind of impact on individuals and people, I'm not gonna lie, since I didn't feel it myself. The first time I met him and seeing what he was doing, which I had no real understanding of before 2014, because being here in America, I was at Art Center and I graduated in 2004. From then, about 2000, I would say 10, I've been working for numerous studios from San Diego to LA. 2013 is when I left the industry myself, went independent. From 2013 to 14, I was doing my own independent stuff, artwork, books, self-publishing, which is then the first year I met Kim Jung Gi. So I never really had seen his stuff until that point. But I had a lot of mutual friends that knew him, of course. So through Comic-Con, we got to meet. And of course, seeing his work for the first time was mind-boggling, to be able to say the least. And of course, it did leave an impression, but I had many other artists out there that I followed in my youth that I would say also had that kind of impact on me, which was guys like Katsuya Terada, Otomo, Mobius, of course, these very high-end artists that were able to just produce massive amount of content through their own draftsmanship skills. So someone like him, who I got to meet in person, was always very much a fortunate thing, like I said. So from him to other people that came from before my own kind of ventures in art in my journey, of course had an impact. It's not to say that I wanted to be these people. Of course, I was very much inspired by the directions they did. And this kind of embarks into the commentary and to talk about what I wanted to get into also, which was, yes, obviously Kim Jung Gi had passed, but also about all of us in our own ventures and journeys about who we want to become and what kind of artists we want to be. I don't even know if that's the right question of being what kind of artist you want to go for. I think this comes to a very much a human question of what kind of person do you want to be, what kind of human do you want to be. And I wanted to tie this together with multiple stories and individuals that I've come across in my life, much like Kim Jung Gi, who gave it his all, that really left an impression, not because of how he was as a technical artist and a draftsman, which he was prolific on. It's obvious, there's not much more I can say on that. And did he have an influence on this? For sure, but in certain ways, not specifically style, not so much on subject matter, not so much on the kind of work he was producing, more in the sense of how he handled himself as a person. Because of course the occasions of times I got to be with him, I got to see a bit more into who he was. And I would say I'm a generally good judge of character, of people, having taught for over 12 years, having dealt with hundreds if not thousands of people from all around the world, and being able to have many conversations, being able to perceive individuals through that conversation. So the first one has to come into mind, which is my mentor, Norm. And I've spoken about him many times through my classes, through live streams, and people probably know about him quite a bit. Norm Schureman, my mentor and teacher from Art Center days, left an impression from when I was 21 years old to his passing in 2010. And I must have been about, what is that? This is 2010, so it was 22 years ago. So I was in my, mid to late 20s when he passed. And he left a big impression because of the kind of person he was, not because he was such a great draftsman, which he also was for me. He taught me many things about my methods of how to approach sketching, drawing, thinking as a designer, and thinking about how to approach the industry. but he showed me the kind of person he was through his charm, his ability to talk to people, to be so comfortable and confident through his means of himself. And I found that that was an aspect that I didn't necessarily reinforce or think about so heavily as a student, because I was so much on the side of technique. So meeting someone like Norm really kind of opened the initial doorways of that kind of thought process, which made me think more about the kind of person I wanted to be eventually. That's where that kind of question started to emerge at first. So from Norm, having gotten close to him to the point where we became family, I got to know him, his wife, his kids, whole family, a lot of immediate extended families and such, and to this day still being thankfully involved with that family. There was another person that came in my life, which I wasn't the closest with, but I had met on many occasions and hung out with. And he also left a very deep impression because of who he was as a person. His name was Francis Tsai, and he was a mutual friend through another close friend of mine, Dave Wilkins, from the time when I was working in San Diego. And I met Francis on numerous of occasions. And we got to hang out. We always talked about cars because he actually owned the same car that I did, which is a Volt Mustang. So every time we got together, we always had conversations about Mustangs. And Francis was a very welcoming and obviously very mature, incredible designer. Worked in the industry for many, many years. So his, draftsmanship skills, illustration skills were quite strong. Francis, unfortunately, got quite ill. Lou Gehrig's, I believe is what it was. And he started to lose his ability to control his hands and his appendages. And over time, he eventually became completely immobile to the point where he had to be on a machine to even breathe. But through that whole process of just, I'm sure, complete pain and horror, he kept up this pursuit, this passion to want to create. First, through his hands, then down to his feet, eventually down to his very eyes, where cameras would track him and he would actually produce illustrations with. Unfortunately, he then passed as well too. Both he and Norm were both very, like I said, lively individuals, passionate people, with the people that they were around, their relationships to their own wives, family as well too, and also in their careers. Norm is the same way, where he gave his life from the way he passed. There's a whole tragic story to it. I don't have to necessarily go deeply into the whole thing. If you want to read about it, just look up Norm Schureman on Google. And you'll read about his whole history and about what had happened. But he did give his life that night, March of 2010, to save others. And he was tragically killed through gunshot. And he always surrounded himself with the people and the passions of things that he loved. So did Francis on this very end of his days. And so I think about now Kim Jung Gi, who passes, at the age of 47, and Norm passes at the age of 50. Francis, I think, passes probably around his 40s and 50s as well. And here I am at the age of 41. So of course, how could I not, reflect on things? With Kim Jung Gi, he also had that same kind of investment of passions of things he loved to do. Everywhere around him, he found interest and, complete, an utter obsession to the craft and the skill that he was in. But he always surrounded himself with the people he wanted with. The bright-minded people, the people that overlapped his similar interests of things, the same kind of drive and interest and passion that he also had. So to be involved in that kind of energy, and then in the past of having these individuals I've had the same kind of energy with, I feel like has always rubbed off. Again, not because they were all very good artists and draftsmen, but because of the kind of people they were. So with his passing, Kim Jung Gi, in the recent last couple of days, again, it's a situation where I think of course, not with any sort of regret of I wish I got to know more, or I wish I got to do this and this with this individual, but this sense of celebration that I was able to experience and observe this sort of energy, that happened right in front of us, which makes me want to be even more driven to be the type of person that can have that kind of level of investment and passion as well too. Now, I say these kind of things in no way of trying to just say it, but I hope that I show it by doing it. This video again is just to kind of share thoughts and interests of conversation for those that are also looking for their own ways. Do understand that techniques and going to schools and trying to find your way to becoming an artist, all those fundamental lessons are truly important, but do understand that the people are everything. And with those people around, when you recognize that kind of energy, do not take it for granted. And I certainly didn't, because every time I was around that kind of energy, I was very observant of him and of others as well too. So with a short video, this is just to kind of express my thoughts and ideals on the current state of where I am at, and hopefully in states where some others are at as well too. And we'll take this opportunity to respect, an artist like Kim Jung Gi, in terms of what's being shared, opinions and stuff like that. But more if you just share your own experiences, of wanting to become an artist, how your relationships are with other people, and not worrying so much about judgments of other such things. And take that moment to reflect on yourself as well. So as the year continues on, and I have Lightbox Expo coming up this coming weeks, other shows, and unfortunately New York Comic Con had to be canceled. I hope that the people I get involved with and continue to speak with as students, as peers, as friends, I will find more of those kind of individuals that I can continue to have that kind of energy being rubbed off, and also then vice versa, give back in that way. So if anybody has any thoughts, please leave a comment. Please be respectful for each other and for me in the video, and also for the passing of Kim Jung Gi. I hope you guys will be able to celebrate his memory through the coming years by being able to post sketches, drawings, creative outlets of different types, sculpture, whatever it is, photography, video, painting, whatever means of ways of being able to capture that sense of passion and devotion, and the sense of the direction of what you want to go for towards being a human. So I hope that you guys are able to, like I said, share in that as you move forward in your own social media streams, and bring that to awareness of others, so that way his memory also continues, as I try to do so with these other individuals that I've been involved with. Norm, Francis, Jung Gi-sen, rest in peace.